Hey, Avi. Hey, UV. How's it, guys?
Oh, good, bro. You?
I'm alright. So, okay, I'm gonna start with you, UV, first because I haven't gotten
Hmm?
your thoughts on the
How's it,
Champs
Sid? How's it,
Trophy.
UV?
I'm good, Avi. So, UV, what's your thought been on
Oh,
the
good, bro.
championship? So, what's your thought been on the championship trophy so far, UV?
I think it's been the most boring cricket tournament I've ever watched in my life.
That's it.
Am I wrong, Avi? Am I wrong? Exactly. Uh,
Uh,
it's
It's been
been.
disappointing. Let's be honest. Let's be honest, guys.
mhm,
I mean, we can pick from our fingertips
mhm,
the number of games that were really interesting. Am I right, UV?
mhm,
We can pick from our
100%,
fingers
bro.
the
100%.
number of games that were quite interesting in this Champions Trophy. So I think as a whole, I think the most probably exciting game of this Champions Trophy was definitely the Australia and England game. I really enjoyed
mhm,
that game because that game could have went either way,
mhm.
and that was an amazing chase from Australia. But apart from that, I won't lie to you guys. I'm battling to actually figure out a good game here in this Champions
I,
Trophy.
I agree. Yeah. No,
Uh,
to be honest with you, I think the
mhm,
final will be good. I think it'll be
mhm,
a close fourth match. I'm seeing
mhm,
that happen. But
mhm.
I fully agree with Avi. Up until now, very disappointing.
And
Okay.
also, the
Uh huh.
biggest thing
Uh
is
huh.
the crowds. I mean, the attendances have been so poor.
Mm, mm,
The
Mhm.
attendances have been so poor for an ICC event. It's actually shocking. I mean, even that semi-final, the second semi-final in Lahore. I mean, we thought the entire Lahore public would come out and
mm.
watch that knockout game, but the attendances were very poor. As in Dubai as well, with India playing. I mean, it's far from being a full house. Am I right, Yubi?
100%. 100%. Um,
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a statement not everybody's gonna like.
Okay.
But I think the issue with India not being willing to play at certain venues did put a bit of a damper on things.
But then that was going to happen in UV because of the politics between India and Pakistan. That's why Avi was right. Like they should have sorted this out when Pakistan was awarded
Agreed.
the Champions Trophy. They should have sorted out that in the bud. I don't know what they were smoking at that time. The ICC. Even I don't know
And
why
Honestly, it
India.
should
I
never.
mean,
Pardon.
look, guys.
Pardon. Hmm.
I don't think it should ever have been awarded to Pakistan,
Yeah.
considering everything that was going.
Hmm. I agree.
I don't know. What do
Well,
you think of it?
I don't think an ICC event. I don't think an ICC event is going to come to Pakistan anytime soon. Given the numbers and the figures that we're going to see after this tournament, which is going to be pretty shocking.
Agreed.
But I just want to add
Hmm.
something to
Uh
that as
huh.
well. I mean,
Hmm.
the reason why India are playing at one venue, I mean, it's not their
Hmm.
fault in a way,
Yeah. Yeah.
because uh, the Pakistan Cricket Board could
Uh huh.
only afford for India to play in Dubai.
Yeah.
They couldn't afford for India to play in different cities in the UAE. I mean, we all know
Hmm.
that India were never going to go to Pakistan, but they
Yeah.
couldn't play in
Obviously.
Sharjah, they couldn't play in Abu Dhabi. So the only financial solution was for India to play all their games in Dubai. So I don't think it's India's fault in a way. I
Yeah.
think it's Pakistan.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
you know what? It is what it is. This tournament.
Yeah.
But as a spectacle, I mean, geez, it's been a real damper as a spectacle, eh? As a
Agreed.
It's fun.
spectacle.
It's so funny you say damper because at Pakistan looked after the cricket grounds, they could have had matches happening, but the rain really messed it up for them because they didn't look after the ground. And they covered the ground completely. They could have had some play, whether 20 overs, whether 30 overs. I don't know if you agree with that, Avi.
Well, rain played a huge role. There's no doubt.
Of course.
Yeah.
But they didn't cover the ground, UV. That's
Yeah,
my
I mean,
point.
I
If they
was looking
covered the whole
forward to.
ground, pardon?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, man, I was looking forward to that. I was looking forward to that Australia and SA game in Rawalpindi, and that
Mm,
game never
mm,
happened because of the rain
Hmm.
and the drainage being
Agreed.
so poor. So that was a real disappointment that we didn't get to see that game in the flesh in this tournament. And yeah, there were other games as well that
mm-hmm,
were, affected by rain. I think the
mm-hmm.
Bangladesh and Pakistan game as well. So
A pointless game.
yeah, it was disappointing. And obviously,
Yeah.
Australia and Afghanistan, which was quite an important game. guys.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And Australia got
Mm.
through with two
Mm-hmm.
washouts,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was
Hmm.
a bit tough on Afghanistan. Yubi,
Yeah.
what do you think?
Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah,
Definitely.
so
Um, I,
really,
I gotta
really poor
highlight
on
one
them.
thing though.
So
No, no, go ahead, Avi. I'll go after
yeah,
you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah. I mean, what I'm saying, that game had so much riding on it. I mean, for both Pakistan and Australia, and I believe the rain stopped 40 minutes after that, and they decided to call it off so swiftly. So that was the disappointing part of it. So it's not been memorable, guys. Let's be honest. Go
Definitely.
for it, Yubi.
But another thing I just want to highlight is
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
don't think the drainage at those grounds is very good. I hear what Sid's saying about
That's
covering the
true.
grounds. They were
Mm.
actually doing that. They were definitely
Mm.
actually doing that. I don't
Mm.
think it
Mm.
made that much difference. Though. I don't think
Oh,
those grounds would have drained in time. I don't think those
really?
grounds would have drained in time. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Interesting. But Yuvi, I wanted to check something with you. With Afghanistan against Australia, the way Afghanistan bowled in Australia was just pathetic with kachra bowling. I've never seen such bad bowling in my life. And Afghanistan, even their
I
tactics were
agree.
so bad. Their tactics were so pathetic. Why are you bowling pace at Australia? Bowl spin. Did they notice that the ball was turning when Australian spinners were bowling? I mean, sorry, I mean I never would speak in such a tone, but
No,
I was so fed up of
Yeah,
watching it.
but Sid, I
Australia.
just want to add something.
Okay. Hmm?
I just
no,
want to
go
add
for it,
something. You
Avi.
see, a 50 over game, there's always a chance to get back. There's
Yeah, yeah.
always a chance to get back in the game. There's always a
Hmm.
chance. So even though Australia had such a flying start, I would have thought the Afghanistan spinners would have came into in their own, in that chase. So they weren't. It's unfortunate they weren't given that opportunity to
Hmm.
actually, show their skills, which they showed against England. So that was a disappointing thing.
But
I must
Avi,
be honest.
okay, sorry. Sorry,
I
you.
I kind
Uh-huh.
of agree with both of you on the
Okay.
points you've made. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Sid saying the tactics were bad. They were pathetic. Yes, they
Mm,
were wrong.
mm, mm.
However, Afghanistan's weakness in this tournament was not tactics. Was their batting. Their batting was
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. But then Juve might think they started with their spinners and they picked up a couple of wickets and they could have got enough overs in time. I think 15 overs is the minimum, right? So if you get those 15
yeah.
overs in, if you could ideally get 3 wickets, maybe Afghanistan could have sneaked in the duck with Lewis. I know I'm being creative here and optimistic, but anything could have happened in that situation.
Yeah, no, that's a one way of looking at it, and I don't disagree. It is possible. However, I think at the same time, they need to go back to the drawing board with a lot of
Yeah,
different things. There needs
I
to
agree.
be a lot of thought that goes into it, and
Mm-hmm.
they've got to work on their batting. I think their bowling, they've got the skill set, they've got the bowlers. Yes, they need to be more consistent, no doubt about that.
Mm.
But the batting needs to
Mm-hmm.
improve
Of
significantly.
course. Of course. Okay, so before we get to the semis, I've noticed that we've got half our predictions right for the finals. I think you had predicted New Zealand to be in the finals, so that's one part of the equation right. I got India right because I think I predicted India and Pakistan out of romanticism, and Avi predicted India and
Mm.
South Africa, so we both got half right. So I don't know how you feel about that, Avi.
Pretty much. I think the two best teams in the tournament. I'm not gonna dispute that. I mean, from what we saw in the last couple of weeks,
Mm,
these are two of the best teams out. When I say two of the best teams in these conditions, I mean these
okay.
two teams play the conditions well. That's
Okay.
the most important thing.
That's
They've
true.
got variety in their bowling attacks,
Mm,
which helps.
mm-hmm.
And the other teams that are not there, unfortunately, they were found wanting in the semi-finals.
Yuvi?
No, I agree. I agree with that. I do believe the he's right. These are the two teams that have performed the best. There's no doubt. Do I think these are the best teams that could have been on the park? No. But I believe that these are the two best teams from what was put out there. They've made it to the final, and well done to both of them. Um, like I said, it's not saying much because this tournament has been full of actually worthless performances. And so getting to the final was not as half as difficult as it should have.
Mm.
And it is what it is. Yeah.
But then, which two teams do you think would have deserved to be in the final had there been no rain and all things being fair?
No, I'm not talking about rain. Uh,
Okay.
Based on what happened in the tournament, these two teams deserve to be there. There's no doubt.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
Okay.
I believe Australia could. You know what? It's pointless going down that road because it didn't happen the way it should have. However,
Interesting.
at this
Interesting.
point in time, they're
Uh-huh.
there. They deserve to.
Oh yeah, one last thing before we go to the semis. I just think England's bowling tactics were pathetic in the tournament. Why are you playing pace? Why didn't they play more spin? I don't know if you agree with this, UV.
I do, but to me, this is the whole problem. You want a tournament of this nature to be exciting, high scoring, making things happen. Chefs that are churning are not going to allow that. So I just think the entire thing of putting this as the venue of the tournament was a major F up from my perspective. Um, that being said, England has
Mm.
never. I mean, their best spinner is Adil Rashid, and he is a fairly good quality spinner. There's no doubt about that.
But that's only one
However,
spinner. They should have had more spinners.
that's my point. One man
Yeah.
does not win a. Who do they have? They don't have great spinners. They've got
Oh yeah,
one
that's true.
decent spinner, Adil
That's true.
Rashid. Nobody else.
Mm. Avi?
I
Avi,
know, of
you
course,
agree
I
with
agree
my yeah.
with
Oh,
what
okay.
you've saying. I mean, England are too
Okay.
one-dimensional.
Yeah.
England are too one-dimensional, and I think if there's one team that you could score 300 against in this tournament, well over 300 plus, was England, and you saw Afghanistan do that as well. Although Afghanistan don't have the best batting lineup, but they
Of
even scored
course.
Mm-hmm.
300 against England. So it
Yeah.
goes to show how bad England were, and then obviously the hosts were a bit of a horror show as well in this tournament as well. But yeah,
They were.
let's go into the semis, guys.
Pardon?
Go to the
Oh yeah, of
semis.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, sure. Yeah, sorry. I was just expressing my frustration. But yeah, let's go to the semi. The first one, if I remember, India and Australia. I'll start with you, Avi. What were your quick thoughts on that? I thought it was a predictable win because Australia's bowling is not as good as it should be because other bowlers are injured. So, what do you think about that, Avi?
Yeah, I thought it was a thoroughly professional performance from India. Eh? They could have won this game earlier,
Hmm.
if I'm being honest.
Of
They
course.
just lost a few, like you know, too many wickets towards the end, which they didn't actually need to.
Yeah.
But yeah, getting back to the performance, Australia winning the toss and batting first. I couldn't understand why Australia went in with a debutant after order. What Travis said. I mean, obviously with a debutant coming in. I mean, for him to face the new wall, it's a bit of a fighting line. I thought they were a bit naive to make Connolly open the innings, but however, he didn't bowl well, Cooper
Yeah.
Connolly in that game. But I think India for the most part of that innings had the run rate in check.
Hmm.
Um, Australia, I think the biggest turning point there was when they lost Steve Smith. I mean, that was one of the worst shots, that I've seen in cricket, just coming down and getting, full, getting bowled full toss. I mean, on the base of that ball pitched on the base of was it off stump between off and middle. So I mean, he must have full toss there in that innings. And I think the Indian spinners actually strangled the Australian batting lineup. That was the Indian spinners. And then chasing, I mean, we've seen it so many times. The chase master, again, I mean, he came to the fore, King Kohli, and, AB supported by Shreyas and KL Rahul. And obviously, that blitz from Pandya towards the end was enough. I thought Australia, they competed well. They competed well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but at the end of the day, they just didn't have enough weapons to trouble India. And, India comfortably won the semi-final into the final. But yeah, it's definitely. I mean, Dubai. If anybody's expecting a high-scoring game tomorrow, think again because this pitch doesn't really offer high-scoring, games. This venue as a whole. So expect a bit of a scrap tomorrow.
UV, you concur with Avi?
On most things, yes.
Okay.
Um, I think he's hit the nail on the head. Tomorrow is going to be a low scoring fixture, tight match, like I said up front. Um, I I would like to mention one thing though that
Sure.
I don't know whether Avi agrees with me on this or not.
Okay.
But it has been a spin bowler's paradise. This tournament has been one for them. That being said, if you've
Uh-huh.
got real pace,
Hmm.
doesn't matter what the wicket's like, you can still make an impact. When I say real pace, I'm talking someone early to mid 150s.
Okay.
And this is where I think a lot of teams miss the trick. Um, South Africa with Mapaka, that's a difference. That was idiotic. Um, and then I look at India. They've got three
Hmm.
guys that can knock 150. Yeah.
Okay.
Australia, they've got another three guys that can knock 150. And personally, I think that would have made a huge difference in that semi-final. Having to face real pace. I'm not sure how well India would have done with that. Um, and then, you know, opening batsman, Connolly, fully agree with Avi. Stupid as hell. Ricky Ponting said it himself the day before the match. Fraser McGurk needs to come in and open the batting. Ponting said it out front, and it was
Mm.
stupid. Um, just too many idiotic decisions. And it's not just Australia. I think across the board in this tournament. Even the
Mm.
teams that got to the final, they've also made some really stupid decisions along the way. And it is what it is. Yeah.
Mm. Oh, Yuvi, what are your thoughts on the second semi-final between New Zealand and SA? You think the best team won, or you think SA didn't really use their bowlers very well?
With the players that were on the park, the best team won. Yes.
Okay.
South Africa, had they chosen their best players, should have won that semi-final with these.
Avi?
Yeah, I mean, you got to give it to the Kiwis. They really street smart. They use the conditions really well. I think when I look back at that game, this is the thing that irritates me a
Mm-hmm.
lot is selection. We're always
Mm.
talking about selection. Okay,
Mm.
winning the toss was a big was a crucial factor in that game. Let's be honest. I mean,
Mm.
runs on the board.
Mm.
New Zealand, they piled on the runs.
Mm.
But I mean, that bowling performance from SA was absolutely pathetic. Absolutely
Agreed.
pathetic. And excuse my language, but they effed up with selection,
Of course.
big time. I
Mm-hmm.
really think Linda
Mm-hmm.
and Shamsi
Mm-hmm.
should have played on this wicket because we saw what the
Mm.
New Zealand spinners were doing in that second innings. The likes of Bracewell, the likes of Santner, even a part timer like Phillips and Ravindra were getting purchased off the wicket. So it was such a naive kind of selection, that team. I mean, going in four paces. I mean, I totally agree, 200% agree. I mean, that was not the best team in terms of the bowling lineup. The bowling lineup was not the best team. I mean, Mulder, what did he
Mm-hmm.
offer on that pitch? Marco Janssen, what did he offer? I mean, sometimes I think South African teams they need to think out of the box in a
Yeah,
way
but
and
but
play according to
one
conditions.
dimensional. One
It's
dimensional, man.
it's I mean at the end of the day you need to understand that I mean your patients are not going to take you wickets all over the
Yeah,
world. I mean
of
especially in the
course.
subcontinent. That is why I think
Mm.
New Zealand might not have the best team, guys. They might not have the best team on paper. They might not have the
Yeah.
superstars. But what they
Yeah.
do well is they know how to
Scrap.
I think they're the best team in the world when it comes to acclimatizing to conditions.
Mm.
They know how to
And
sum
they
up
fight.
conditions. So yeah. But especially the conditions, UV. I mean, they are a team that are very spin based, heavily spin based. Although they've got a few
Uh,
paces, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of spinners in that team. So there's a lot of variety. So I mean, I was so disappointed that a guy like Shamsi didn't get a chance to play in this game. I mean, George Linder. I mean, you're flying George Linder in, right? I mean, what the hell? You're supposed to be playing the guy. I mean, there's any pitch that you want to play George Linder, it's in Lahore, where your paces are getting smacked all over the show. But I mean, it was a dreadful bowling performance. I thought Kemba Babuma's captaincy was dreadful. I thought he was a guy lost for ideas. He was lost for ideas. It was a very clueless performance that you see sometimes from SA, especially in knockout games. And this was as bad as it was, guys, for a very long time. It was bad as it was in terms of a bowling performance. And then the batting, I mean, Bavuma, I mean, if you're going to eat up 18 balls in the power play and score 3 runs, you're always on the back foot. I mean, Nicholson was looking good, but then once he lost his wicket, I mean, the slow burners came in with Rassi and Chemba. I mean, although that 100 partnership, they put on a 100-run stand. I mean, but the slow burners excuse me, well and truly there. I mean, they were battling to get control of that chase. I mean, the run rate. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I was so shocked by what Rob said. I mean, he said that they were happy with the power play score of 56 because New Zealand also made 56. But I mean, guys, if you're chasing a score, you need to be ahead of the rate. You need to be like around 76 or 80 for one. You need to be ahead of the rate because I mean, chasing is a different kind of ball game.
Mm.
I mean, it's always scoreboard pressure, and I think that's what Australia did so well when they beat England. They were always like kind of ahead of the rate. Yeah, I mean, David Muller. I'll be honest with you guys. I think that was one of the worst hundreds I've seen from David Miller. Because I mean, if I put it in context, if you score 100 and it doesn't win you a game, it's absolutely meaningless. I mean,
Mm.
he had the shots, but my question is, why didn't you go earlier? Why didn't you go earlier and try and win the game for your team? I mean, you try to play all these kind of shots with the last four overs, and obviously, yeah, you got your 100. It's a great milestone, but I mean, I'm gonna be
Yeah.
really, really critical of him here. I think he could have went earlier, and he could have made a game of it. I
I
mean, you scoring 100 when the game is obviously done and dusted. That was the most disappointing thing. But all in all, I think they were totally
Mm.
outplayed in this game.
Of course.
I think with me, when you mentioned Muller, 100% right. He should have gone earlier. However, you've got to have confidence in the guys coming after you to go earlier.
Mm.
That's
Mm.
where Linda could have made a difference. Remember,
Mm.
he's not the worst batsman in the world.
Mm.
Him coming in after Muller, I think Muller would have gone earlier.
Okay. All right. So, Yuvi, tell me your thoughts on the final. Do you think your favorite team, New Zealand's gonna?
Yeah,
Oh,
but
sorry. Oh,
Yugi,
sorry.
I just want to say
Okay. All right.
something with Muller. I think I think Muller has probably he could have taken the strike a lot more. I mean, he was getting singles to Rabada. I mean, all you had to do was shield the striker. That's it.
Mm.
And I think people were really critical of Muller in the World T20 final as well when he was giving Keshav, uh, strike when he was the one that was supposed to play the big shots and actually get SA over the line. If you go to the T20 World Cup final, he did the same thing as well. So I don't know for some reason Muller when it comes to a chase, his mind gets a bit scrambled in a way, and you saw it again as well. I mean, it was a very naive kind of performance. I think from SA as a whole. I mean, let's be honest, the entire team failed. I mean, Rassi, he got a good ball. Bavuma, I think that was a very loose shot, very, very soft dismissal. Markram, very soft dismissal. Klaassen, I mean, Klaassen's been in good form, and I don't want to be too hard on him, but the run rate was like 8.5 by the time he got to the crease,
Mm.
so he had to go for it. I mean, it's a shot that you wouldn't really expect him to do, but I mean, what do? You want to get ahead of the rate
Mm.
at that time
So you
because
got
you're
to take your
360
chances.
guys, which is an absolute Mount Everest
Mm.
to
Yeah.
On
climb.
those wickets,
You got to
yeah.
take your chances, but I think it all started with the slow burners in the power play between Bavuma and Rafi.
Mm.
They didn't get enough runs in the power play, and that was at the back end was absolutely criminal. And yeah, I think back to the drawing board here now.
Look,
It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world.
I personally,
I think they did perform quite well in this tournament,
no, I agree with you.
but I think
I think it's about.
the mindset needs to change, guys.
Mhm. No, you're 100% right. And
The mindset needs to
I think
change.
there's also a
The
need.
mindset.
I think there's also a need to change the core of players right now. They must not fall into the same trap
Absolutely.
India fell into. They must not keep the old guys
Totally
learning.
agree with you. Totally agree
Yeah.
with you.
Okay.
No, I agree.
Yuvi. So, Yuvi, let's
Hmm?
get to the final. Your favorite team, New Zealand. Do you think they're gonna beat India, or do you think India's the favorite to win?
No, I can't see them going down to India two in a row. I can't see them going down to India two in a row. Mhm.
So, you think New Zealand's gonna win then?
Yep.
Okay. And you, Avi? Avi's got that face.
Look, I think it's going to be a close game. It's going to be a bit of a scrap.
Mhm.
But if I look at both bowling attacks, I think India kind of hold the
Mm,
edge. I think India are going to sneak
mhm.
home. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think India are going to sneak home this game.
Honestly, uh-huh.
New Zealand
Of
are going to
course.
compete. I'll be honest with you right now. New Zealand are going to
Yeah.
compete tomorrow. But I think India might just have too much for them in the end.
Honestly, the funniest thing is I do believe India should win, but I don't discount New Zealand because New Zealand has been a bogey team for India, especially in ICC events. I don't know if you noticed in the T20 World Cup in Dubai, and also I remember the Champions Trophy in 2000. They beat them. I know the teams were different, but New Zealand seems to have India's number in ICC events. So don't write them off. But I do support India to win out of my love for them. That's all what I got to say.
Yeah. I just looked at
Yeah, and I think
tomorrow. I feel is
Mhm.
about two players.
Okay.
Whichever one of these two players bats better, his team wins. That's
Okay.
Shubman Gill and Rachin Ravindra. That's Shubman
Hmm.
Gill and Rachin Ravindra. Whichever
What
one of
about
them bats better, his team.
what about Kohli, Yuvi? Don't you think Kohli's contribution will be important?
Send him to the old age home. Send him back to the old age home.
Eh,
controversial,
yeah, yeah.
controversial.
Yeah, Kohli's been like one of the best players of the tournament, Yuvi. Why are you picking on Kohli?
That's not saying much. This tournament's been crap.
Okay, Avi?
I agree with you over there. I agree with you. The tournament has been crap.
Oh, you little faith, guys.
The tournament has not been a
Okay.
success. The tournament has not been a success, guys.
Hmm.
I mean, uh, in terms of the crowds, I mean the kind of games that you want to expect. I mean, I don't know if the ICC is looking about taking this into a T20 format going forward because I just feel 50 overs is not it's not really bringing the crowds in.
I
Uh,
agree.
You agree,
I
Yuvi?
I
agree.
think,
I agree.
but do you think?
50 over cricket is not bringing the crowds
Okay,
in.
but do you think the
Um,
tour?
I, I,
Oh,
would-
sorry.
I would also say that
Hmm, hmm.
while I agree with Avish that 20 overs would probably bring in bigger crowds,
Hmm.
um, I just think a lot of teams went into this tournament underbaked. And also bringing the tournament down to 8 teams, that cut out a lot of upsets. It
Absolutely.
basically negated a lot of possible upsets. And let's face it, West Indies, Sri Lanka, these teams can cause upsets.
Mm. Mm. Especially Sri Lanka, I agree with that. The West Indies have been a bit up and down in one-day cricket, so yeah, Sri
Totally
Lanka
agree.
would have been good in these conditions. But I want to ask you guys something before we wrap off. Starting with, oh,
You
sorry.
know, UV makes a
Uh-huh.
great point.
Oh.
UV makes a great point about
Mm.
preparation.
Mm.
There is only two teams in this tournament that prepared well
Uh-huh.
for this
I
tournament.
agree.
Uh-huh.
Two teams, and they're in
Yeah.
the final.
Mhm.
They're in the
He's
final.
right. He's right.
There is only two teams that really prepared well. When I say prepared well, they played their
Mm.
best teams. They played their best teams even in the warm up
I
series.
don't know about that.
The other teams were playing a lot of fringe players, but I think these two teams have played their best teams throughout,
But
and they in the
I
final.
don't know if I
So preparation,
agree with that. I
absolutely.
don't know if I agree with that. I think they played according to conditions,
Mm.
and
Mm.
yeah, I suppose in conditions like this, I can see the sense in having the experienced guys.
Mm.
You don't want to have your youngsters come in with lack of experience and falling
Mm.
apart in the
Mm.
batting order. It does
Mm.
make sense. Yeah, I wish there has a point in that regard. Maybe they did have it in that regard.
But Yuvi, do you think if tournament was an essay, it could have been a much better success?
Oh, easily, easily,
Mm.
easily. Uh, Tournament in SA, let's face it, much more even. Um, Australia, New Zealand, all in the mix. England would have done a hell of a lot better, no doubt. Um, yeah, I just think any country where the wickets weren't turning square would have been a better option.
Avi?
Yeah, I definitely think the tournament being in SA would have made Australia really dangerous.
Mhm.
Really, really dangerous.
Their bowling didn't excite me. So I still think Australia may have not made the finals anyway. Maybe semi they would have scratched. They
No,
would have
but
found a way. Pardon?
but what I think is if the tournament were held in SA, it would have been an entirely different looking Australian side that would have arrived in SA.
But remember, their main bowlers were injured. That's why they didn't play them in this championship.
No, but even then, I mean, when we talk about their so-called main bowlers, I don't think they are the best bowlers in Australia right now, to be honest with you. I think there's a lot of youngsters that are better than they are. Those youngsters were not selected because they have serious pace, they're wicket takers, but they wouldn't have succeeded in the conditions where this tournament was held.
Okay. Fair enough.
Initially, I was very against the selection of certain teams, but then I took into account the conditions that were being played on. And yeah, I can understand why some of the selection decisions were made.
Okay.
Also, I would have preferred more games, guys. I would have preferred more games. I mean, we want to see a tournament at least for a month. And add two more teams. Come on, guys, add two more teams. I mean, 8 teams is too few. It's too few for a global tournament, and I think that is why cricket sometimes is seen as kind of the laughing stock. When it comes to how things have been run, and the ICC is seen as the laughing stock. It's because of things like this.
Theory, Avish. I think the reason why. Oh, sorry.
You're trying. I mean, you want to grow the game. You want cricket to be a global game.
Okay. UV, you wanted to say something?
No.
Go for it. Go for it, Sid.
You go first, Sid. You go first.
I was just going to say I have a theory that maybe they didn't do it because you do realize the IPL is not next week, but I think the following week, if I remember. I think it's on the 22nd of March, if I'm correct, guys. So I think, unfortunately, the IPL dominates cricket. If you think about it, guys, I think it's on the 22nd of March.
Based on what we saw in this tournament, I'd much rather watch the IPL.
Yeah, it's on the 22nd of March on Saturday. So I'm thinking next week you guys want to do a chat on the IPL.
Yep, definitely. This is one time Sid and I will be on the same side.
Yeah,
pardon?
Sure.
Yeah,
this is one time Sid and I will be on the same side. KKR. However, I need to say something before we go any further. One of my concerns with this whole situation currently in world cricket, and let's face it, whether we like it or not, there is a situation.
Of course.
I don't know whether you guys pay attention to the dirt sheets. Looking at stuff like Quora, basically the Reddit, those sort of things, chat groups, chat lines online. We spoke of the ICC being a bit of a joke.
Oh, okay.
It was mentioned, yeah, they have become a bit of a joke. The other one that's been mentioned very frequently online, the BCCI and the ECB are now the big bads of world cricket because they are monopolizing the game.
Interesting. Avi?
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of the most difficult truths, to actually, if you want to bring up, India contributes to 85% of the revenue that comes from the ICC, and that is why we have things like this, in terms of the number of teams that are playing in this tournament, the venues, and those things. I don't think there's an easy way around it. There is no easy way around this as well, because we can talk about the number of games that teams play, test matches. I mean, it's so disproportionate, guys. I mean, the World Test Championship is a bit of a fuss for teams like Afghanistan and Ireland, UV, because they don't play any test matches.
It's not exactly
in the cycle, although they did. and even the likes of Windy. So I'm gonna be very interested to see what the future of Test cricket is going forward. After the next WTC cycle is over, what do they do with Test cricket? Because I'm going to be very, very interested in that. Because if they're talking about this two-tier system, guys, I mean, seriously, the quality of the game is going to go right down. As
I
if it's
agree.
not bad, as if it's not bad enough as it is now. If you have the two-tier system, the quality is going to go right down, guys.
But Yuvi, I thought you were an advocate for the two-tier system.
I think it has its pros and cons.
Okay.
Avi made some good points. You're not going to be playing the best teams in the world, so you are going to not be challenged as much. However, playing teams more on your level gives you the chance to hone your skill set a bit better. And that means you can get to that level and become capable enough to play those top teams and win against them. So it's a it's it's a it's a 50-50, I guess. I can see the good points that Avi makes. However, I also think this is something that we maybe need to go through. And Avi could be entirely right. He could be entirely right, and it could be a big mess up and failure. I think we need to go through it and see how it works.
Okay, so wow.
My
All right.
my my
Okay.
my only fear, yeah, my question, the one thing that I bring up here, which is very, very
Sure.
important. The two-tier system is going to be a disaster for broadcasting. It's going to be a
Oh yeah.
disaster for broadcasting because I mean,
Mhm.
who will want to watch Sri Lanka play Ireland or West Indies play Afghanistan in a Test match? That
Oh, I
is
would
the
watch West
biggest
Indies
problem here,
Afghanistan.
guys.
I would watch West Indies Afghanistan.
Yeah, but I mean, how many, Yubi? How many? That is the thing. I mean, people would rather watch West Indies in India, West
Mm,
Indies in England, even West Indies and Australia.
mm.
Those are the kind of fixtures that you'd want to watch. But I mean, this
Mhm.
kind of fixture, hey, guys, it's going to be a disaster for broadcasting. You're not gonna you will see the numbers. You will see the numbers
Of
when these
course, of
I
games
course.
agree.
are played.
I agree.
Oh,
Um, I think
yeah.
that
Hmm.
you're 100% right at the initial level. Yes, it's very likely going to go the way Avi is saying. However,
Yeah.
if these teams do improve and they do get better and they become more popular, maybe not.
Yeah. All I got to say is, like, I think if America and China took to cricket, there wouldn't be so much pressure on India bringing in the revenue, especially for the future on the TV side. Because the American market is big, and so is the China market, if I'm correct, guys. I don't know if you agree with that, UV and Avi.
Honestly, I don't see it as something that India is complaining about. They're very
Of
happy
course, of
being
course.
able to take advantage of that situation. They're very
Mm-hmm.
happy
Of
being able
course,
to
of course.
take
Yeah.
advantage.
But I'm just saying generally. I'm
And
just saying generally, it would be nicer from that point of view.
yeah, because I mean, I don't know if you guys are aware, but before this tournament could be played, the whole India not wanting to play in Pakistan thing was a big issue, and there was consideration of taking India out, and that obviously was not feasible. But that's once again, should any team be above the interest of the game?
That's why I say America and China must take to cricket. Then you don't want to have this problem. Don't you think so, Avi?
No, I don't. I
Oh,
actually
sorry.
believe it's not
Uh
down
huh.
to that. I think
Oh.
it's more down to priorities. The game,
Hmm.
the way the game grows, the equivalence in the game, the equality in the game needs to be the
Hmm.
priority. Not one team, not one country.
Avi.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, this shouldn't be the case in any kind of sport, any kind of normal sport. But unfortunately, cricket is a very unhealthy kind of sport in a way because the way it's run, the amount of power certain teams have over others, it's riddled in favoritism. I mean, if you look at the history of the ICC, I mean, back in the days, England and Australia were the teams
Yeah.
that got all the
I agree.
TV, you know,
I agree.
all the TV revenue. Now it's India, so it's always had that kind of favoritism to it,
Yeah.
guys. But I
It
just
does.
want to add something here. I mean, if you want to become one of the best teams in the world, how are you going to be better? How are you going to get better if you don't play against the best teams?
Hmm.
You've
True.
got to challenge
True.
yourself. I mean, sport is about challenging yourself. You have to play
Mhm.
against the best teams. to get better. You've
No,
got
you
to
do.
play against the likes of Australia, India, South Africa, New Zealand, England. And if
Mhm.
I think the teams like the Windies, they don't play that kind of uh, opposition. And I just want to say something. I feel bad for the Windies because this is a team that
Mhm.
has contributed so much to the history of cricket in terms of
Mhm.
the legends that they produced, in terms of the cricket. I mean, we know it's from another era, and we've seen the
Mm-hmm.
decline of West Indies cricket right up
Mm-hmm.
from the 90s when they lost to Australia in 95 at home.
Mhm.
When they lost to Australia in 95 at home, that was probably the turning point. You know, the
Yeah.
decline of West Indies cricket. I mean,
Mm,
things were
I
falling
agree.
off the cliff by then. And so,
Mhm.
every team has the era. Every team has the era where they're going to be dominant. I don't think
Mhm.
Australia are as dominant as they were in the late
No,
90s or early 2000s. They're a very beatable team now. They're a very, very beatable
no.
team in cricket, in all kinds of
I think
formats.
any. I think all teams in
So,
world cricket are very reasonable right
yeah,
Oh,
I don't think there's one team that actually dominates over the other in terms of,
now. No, not at the moment.
ODIs
No.
and test matches.
Mhm.
Every team is
I agree.
beatable,
Yeah.
which I think is a
um,
good thing in a way.
mm.
Mhm.
It
I
is a
mean,
good thing in a way, but
if you look at that World Cup that happened in America, who would have seen the upsets America caused?
Oh yes, USA, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
remember UV predicted it so confidently, and I laughed like a monkey.
yeah, man, I
No,
mean, we
but
could have made some easy money there, guys. We could have made
mhm.
some easy money there.
Yeah, but I didn't see it.
Yeah,
But I didn't see it. But I
but
didn't see it
this is
coming.
why I
So yeah.
say
Uh huh. Uh huh.
we need tournaments with a lot of teams involved. You can't have an
Of course.
eight-team tournament. It makes it
Yeah.
boring as hell.
Yeah. Oh well, I guess. But then UV, by the way, out of curiosity, did you bet on the USA winning any of their matches in that World Cup?
Not a gambler, dude.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I was laughing. Nah, I'm just being naughty, by the way, with that
In
question.
hindsight, in hindsight, in
Of
hindsight.
course. Of course. Of course.
Probably wouldn't have even if I had the inclination. Yeah.
Okay. Although I would say New Zealand seems to be a safe bet in tournaments. If they give you an option to bet for New Zealand to make semis, rather bet on that because that seems to happen more often than not.
They are. They
Oh,
generally are. I think they've got the most balanced team. They have the best
Hmm.
balanced team in work. That's what I believe.
Yeah. But then UV, I
you,
want to
you know
confirm.
how I describe New Zealand cricket.
Uh huh. Uh huh.
I think instead of being brilliant, they efficient.
Yeah.
They're not
Agreed.
I agree
brilliant,
with
they're
you.
Agreed.
efficient. They are efficient.
They're like Germany. Germany, the fish in the soccer, and New Zealand, the fish in at cricket. How's that?
Yeah. That's a good comparison, eh? That's a really really good comparison. It's just about being efficient
Definitely.
in and doing the basics well, which they do,
Mhm.
time and time again.
And,
And
and they've got fighting spirit. They've got fighting spirit. They never give up.
UV, I want to confirm: is New
that's
Zealand
true.
your? I want to confirm with you, UV. Is New Zealand your favorite cricket team, or do you just do you just say they are your favorite depending on the tournament they're playing at?
Uh, I gotta be honest. If West
Mm-hmm.
Indies were playing in this team in this tournament, I would have been backing them.
Oh, okay. West Indies. Oh, okay. Interesting. Interesting
I
choice.
would have been
Okay.
backing them.
Aha.
But New Zealand. Sorry.
I'm also a big fan of West Indies cricket.
Yeah. No,
I just
I
think they
like the
add something
balance they've
different.
got. Hmm. I like the balance they've got. We were talking about the fact that their real heyday has passed. I think there's a resurgence about to happen. I'm looking at the talent, and this IPL will showcase it. This IPL will
Okay.
showcase the West Indies players of the future, and there's a resurgence coming there.
Um. Okay. Final words before we wrap off UV.
Um, Tomorrow going to be interesting one way or the other. Uh, Still leaves a bit of a bitter taste in the mouth the way this tournament has played out, but it
Uh
is
huh.
what it is. Um, I guess I'm happy that South Africa brought in Linda and Rickleton and that sort of thing. So yeah, at least we're now seeing some decent selection sort of decisions. I'm looking at world cricket as a whole. I must be honest, this past year I've not enjoyed international cricket. I've enjoyed the local tournaments much more. The
You mean the
SA20, the
franchise
IPL,
tournaments? Okay, you
yeah,
mean the
the
franchise
franchise tournaments,
tournaments? Okay, okay,
the Big Bash.
fair enough.
I've enjoyed them much more. Um, World cricket left a lot to be desired. I must be honest. International cricket.
Avi?
Yeah, I agree with you, some of those points. I think SA, they down at the moment, but not out. I think Rickleton has been quite refreshing to this team.
Mm-hmm.
Him coming into the side, I think this is a guy that deserved his place for a long time. And I think
Mm-hmm.
it's time to bring in the youngsters. I mean, you got the likes of Brevis, Luandre
Uh-huh.
Pretorius. Bring these guys in, bring these youngsters in. I mean, it's time. Look, this team, I think, to be honest with you, is a bit of an aging team. There's a few
Uh-huh.
guys in their late 30s there. And I think we need to move on. I think we need to move on. And I think we need to start preparing for the 2027 World Cup. And this is the time now. You've got 2.5 years, almost 3 years to prepare for that World Cup. It's time to bring in the youngsters. You heard my views on this tournament. I think it's been an average tournament. I think the crowd attendances have been really poor. There's been a lack of good games. Oh yeah, there was one more game that I think was pretty interesting. Was England and Afghanistan. That game really went down to the wire. That was a really good game. But I mean,
Um.
Mm-hmm.
two games, two
Uh-huh.
games out of 15, guys. That's not enough, man. That's not enough. And then
Yeah.
tomorrow,
Uh-huh.
look, I expect the Kiwis to
Mm-hmm.
fight till the end.
Okay.
However, I think India are going to come out victors.
I will say India to win, but I don't discount New Zealand. New Zealand gave me the gajibis, and I think UV knows that. That's why he's going with New Zealand outright. So, but I'll say two. So I'm gonna make this quick calculation for us: two for India and one for New Zealand. Am I correct to assume that, guys? Me and
How do
Avi
That's
you
go
it.
for
mean?
India. I know. I'm saying. I'm assuming
Oh
the
yeah,
three
yeah.
of us. Yeah, two for India and one for New Zealand. UV being New Zealand
No,
and me
definitely.
and Avi being for India.
Yeah,
Okay, so I think
definitely.
that's a wrap. So I'll see you all next
Look,
week for
I
the
just want to
IPL
say
then.
something.
Oh,
I
sorry,
just
sorry,
want to
sorry,
say
sorry.
something, Sid.
Sure.
Yeah, I just want to say something, Sid. Gautam Gambhir said that India haven't played their perfect game as yet.
Makes sense.
So if they play their perfect game tomorrow,
Hmm.
that could be a really long day for New Zealand.
I like that.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Anyways, guys, enjoy
I
your
don't
weekend
think
and see you guys next
I
week.
don't know if New Zealand have really been at their best either. If
Uh-huh.
both teams play at their best tomorrow, it could be very interesting.
Yeah.
Ooh, spicy. Okay, that should be fun. Okay, I'll see you guys next week for the IPL, and it should be fun with the IPL. Later, guys.